They call him Seatin, the man of legends.
Hey guys, what is up? It is Seatin here. Hello and welcome to the 61 Harbinger guide. Now this guide is going to primarily be aimed at very lazy people. As in, I'm going to teach you a very simple yet effective way to play the spec, and I'm not going to go too much into sort of the min-maxing elements of Harbinger. So just to, put it out there guys, if you're looking to really min-max this build, it's not going to be in this video. However, I will give you all the information you need to min-max this video and get about 1,000 to 2,000 more DPS in a raid environment in the description of this video. However, that does make the rotation a bit harder and more difficult to manage. So for now, we're going to focus on the lazy and very easy way of doing things. Now, essentially, with this spec and guide, you only need 5 buttons, and the current buttons you need are 1 to 5. They are the main single target DPS rotation buttons. Now, number 1 is Empyrean Ascension, which is the biggest and most powerful cooldown, and it's where the real bulk of the Harbinger's damage comes from. So this ability needs to be practically used off cooldown because it's just such a massive DPS increase for the Harbinger. Now, Piercing Beam is an ability that you need to keep up on the target at all times, as it increases damage taken by the target by 11%, but for 30 seconds, which is actually quite a bit. So that is something you do need to refresh every 30 seconds and make sure you keep up. Tempest Winds, number 4, is an ability that you want to use off cooldown, and you want to make sure you fully channel it because the bulk of that ability's damage comes at the end of it. And apart from that, when you haven't got anything else to use, you want to spam number 2, which is the slashing macro, and when you get Eldritch Armor procs, you want to use a spell. So basically, the rotation goes as follows. So when I'm initially sort of starting combat with a mob, I'll use Piercing Beam and then pop Empyrean Ascension. While I'm in Empyrean Ascension, I'm also going to be hitting my spell macro occasionally, just to due to the fact that it's a considerable, well, a moderate DPS increase more like. So as you can see, it's essentially just spamming the macro, and I'll start off the fight doing about 20-ish K DPS in Empyrean Ascension form by the looks of it. Yeah, it's around 20k. So as you can see, I've got 3 seconds left on Empyrean Ascension. It's about to fade now. I'll refresh Piercing Beam, use my spell macro because I had the proc, go into Tempest Winds, and then just get in this habit of kind of spamming the slashing macro and using the spell ability one whenever it comes up for the next a minute and a half or so. So it's really straightforward and fairly easy to play. Literally, between the cooldown, it's just alternating between the slashing macro and the spell macro whenever you get a big Eldritch Armor proc, and using Empyrean Ascension off cooldown. Now, one thing that I'm going to say quickly about this spec is it is extremely mana intensive. So, literally, the way that Harbingers regain mana is actually by gimping their damage. So, ideally, you don't want to do this, if you're sort of any player with a bit of common sense. So you really, if you want to make the most out of Harbinger, stock up on mana pots. Just get a load of them and just have them in your bag and use them pretty much off cooldown. Now, I don't have very powerful mana pots at the moment because I kind of overlooked this for the guide, and also this is my ult, which I don't play terribly much in a raiding environment, but regardless of whether or not you're doing raids or dungeons or just anything really, you want to ensure that you do have a large pool of mana pots that you can just sort of leech off of, because you are going to need them. Harbinger is literally just incredibly mana intensive. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the guide, guys. So it's extremely straightforward to play. Use Empyrean Ascension off cooldown, spam your slashing macro, keep Piercing Beam up, Tempest Winds off cooldown, and use the spell ability macro whenever it does proc. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the guide, guys. You'll see I'm playing fairly terribly at the moment, and I'm doing 15k DPS on a dummy. Imagine what I could be doing in a raid or with some enchants, sort of power stones, vials, etc. I could be pulling some really good DPS with this. But no, this is just to give you an idea of how to play the spec, etc. The buffs, the spec, everything that doesn't really need me rambling on will be covered in the description. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the guide, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like, subscribe, and give me any feedback or pro tips, anything you'd like to, you feel that's, missing out of the guide, leave it in the comments below, and I'll be sure to sort of add it into the description. Once again, thank you for watching, guys, and take care.